Good morning, good evening, good night. An afternoon edition of Layer1Live. We're bringing you all the crypto news from around the industry. We're coming in a little tired, a little bit more fat from the weekend. We had ourselves a good weekend, me and Dimitri. I hope you guys are having a good week to start off. But Dima, what's going on, my man?
Yeah, man, not much. Obviously, Q visited me for the weekend, so I've wined and dined him in Pittsburgh here, and we had obviously a great time. Now he's in the recovery mode, at the moment. But we do have lots of news today that we're going to discuss that are super exciting. So I'm super pumped to talk about all that because crypto never sleeps, and there's never a boring week, basically.
It is not. And I was looking at the stream real quick. I don't know if you guys caught the beginning, but me and Dimitri did have ourselves a nice weekend in Pittsburgh. I headed up there. I made the trek, and we hit the sites all around Pittsburgh. The only person,
but he looks like had some tight scheduling problems there. So, but we did end up visiting all the landmarks that you need to visit in Pittsburgh in order to get the full experience. So that was fun.
100%, guys. So we're just getting started here. Obviously, if this is your first time, please leave a like. Please subscribe if you like what's going on. Maybe a little bit farther into the show, and you see that me and Dimitri maybe know what the hell we're talking about, or you just like the community. Give it a subscribe. I see NFT Army is in the house. I guess we're getting rated right now.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, there's NFT Army. There's NTF Army. There's looks like many different armies are in here.
I think so, man. So all-time high is going to be 52 for us today, fellas. So we've got 19 in the chat now. If we do hit all-time highs, as you guys know, you're earning LADZ today for contributing in chat. We're going to do it a little bit new this week, though. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to drop a link in chat. So basically, halfway through, random time through, I'm going to drop a link. It's going to have the 100 LADZ that you need for kind of contributing and following along today. If we hit all-time highs, so if we go to 53, I'll drop another link with more LADZ there. So that's how it's going to work from now on. We've just grown. We've outsized the old LADZmas that we love to do for distribution. That's how it's going to work. So.
Awesome. Yeah, man. I'm excited for that. That makes the process more streamlined. It takes, the load off you to kind of figure out who to send and so on. So I'm excited to have that implemented. But yeah, man, chat is rolling. It's lit today. Everybody's feeling great on this Monday.
Everybody is feeling great. I'm going to pull up a message from Brandon here. So Brandon is our community manager. Shout out to Brandon. He's been handling all of the Discord roles and pretty much everything that we've been doing in Discord. He's got the alpha and the lad of the week. So the lad of the week is going to be Loadmaster, who actually is bringing, I think, all the NFT army into this house. So shout out to Loadmaster and also Crypto Stacy. So Crypto Stacy's been hopping in the Discord. He's been holding it down in the LADZ Citadel. I know he just hops in there and bumps tunes if you guys want to go chill and see what he's got going. I think he often shares projects. He's currently scoping with the community and is an avid participant in our events. So that's straight from Brandon's mouth. Those guys are going to get some extra LADZ this week, 250 each for LAD of the week and sharing the alpha of the week. What else happened this past week? Didn't we drop something important?
Yeah, I think so. If I recall, we did drop a light paper for LADZ. So that was pretty cool. We obviously worked really hard on that. So for those guys that might have missed it, definitely check out our Substack. And we break down a lot of things like our goals, our vision, and then also, certain things in terms of the token, liquidity mining campaigns, and all these things that we have outlined. So head on over. Yeah, it looks like the link is in chat, so you can check that out for those that might have missed it. But yeah, man, it was great. Ev is asking, what do we drink this weekend? Ooh. Well, since he was not around, we did not drink Jameson as we always do when me and him get together. Yeah, when we get together. But we ended up drinking some tequila. That was some good stuff. Casamigos Añejo, can't go wrong with that.
Cannot go wrong with Casamigos. So we have a pretty big episode today. I'm going to get to some of these other comments. But yeah, it was a fun time. Ev, I'll be up there in 3 weeks, and we'll kind of get after it there. So let's get to some of these comments. I don't know if you can find any in particular. Maybe Kieran is here still. I don't know. He was here like 2 hours early, popping us on. It looks like Loadmaster was the first in chat. We've got Stacy wondering just what the hell is going on. And we've got a bunch of other lads. It looks like Buff's in here. Let me see. Jonathan's in here. Storm Giant's in here. Paul Young is in the house. We got a bunch of lads, so we appreciate you guys showing up early. 30 of you guys watching us right now as we go through the crypto news for the week, and we will continue to bring you that each week, guys. I dropped the light paper link if you want to take a look. Otherwise, I do believe it's in the description, and I'll get the I'll get the links for what we're talking about in the description as well. So.
Awesome. Yeah, man. You know, the reason why we did this later today than usual is because obviously Q was traveling back home. So, you know, for those guys that are joining us today on this different schedule, we can catch you because of the time zone difference. And for those guys that, you know, are kind of missing out, that's the reason why, you know, we delayed it today is because of the travel, but, you know, we'll be going back to the normal schedule in the next week.
Yeah, Dima's gonna carry me this episode because I was traveling. I think it was like 7 hours in the old car today, so didn't get enough time to kind of like really go in depth on a lot of the articles. So Dima kind of put his reading glasses on and went in there. Ev just donated $5.
JMO on me. Yeah, my man, you got it.
Thanks for the donation, man. We appreciate you. Appreciate you a lot. Former ICO alert, man. We talked to all the ICO alert times this weekend. We have Bruno and I think Pickle showing up. You guys are late today, so I'm actually on time. And then Bruno, this is a constant. This is a constant in our group right now. We're trying to find ways to bring you guys content that are in the European region, that are in the Australia and maybe Asia time region. Game night this week is probably going to change. I can go through the schedule here for a second. But we're trying, okay, guys. We're trying to get you guys content so that you can be a part of it, you know, wherever you are. Good morning, good evening, good night. There's a reason I say it. It's because you guys are spread out all around the world. We'll continue working on it. That's just something we're going to have to get through these coming weeks. So top 5 countries this week. It's going to be U.S., UK, Australia, Canada, Spain coming in at number 5. The episodes are, looks like the episode with Cooper Turley from Audius. We had the Animoca Brands episode coming in number 2. And then that meme episode is going to be in number 3. And the schedule for the week. So no Layer 1 podcast this week. So you won't be getting an interview from one of the best founders in the space. But we do have Dimitri's desk coming in twice, Tuesday and Friday at the normal 5 p.m. time. And then Thursday, NFT Live, and then game night's going to be Thursday as well. We're going to try to run that early for you guys, just like we talked about. I know the European guys have wanted us to run it a little early. So that's pretty much it. I mean, we have a ton of news to get to this week. Can't wait to get it to you. Appreciate everybody that's showing up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's always like a struggle to get the best, you know, time to do this because we end up changing the schedule a little bit. I remember I did that on a desk, and then you know, kind of isolate certain people. So hopefully we can get like the best time to capture the most of you guys. So, but yeah, if we're ready, looks like the chat is ready as well. We can hop into some of these breaking news.
Let's do it.
Cool. Yeah. So the first thing that I have here is going to be Harvest Finance. Obviously, Twitter is full of it. Today, you know, you can see the headlines about the Harvest Finance, the farm. You know, there was a big retracement in the token price that has to do with the exploit that basically drained 25 million of locked value in the farm through a sophisticated way. You know, there's a technical way that was explained how it was done. I believe Andre explained it, but we're not going to really go into that. It has to do a little bit with the flash loans and just the exploit that was done there. And overall, 25 million was, you know, taken out of the platform. And then after, you know, it was kind of released that, hey, listen, 25 million is being drained. 350 million actually was taken out by the participants themselves because they don't want to expose their assets to, you know, further, you know, attack or damage that this guy was doing. So it was a combination of both things, right? It was the fact that the pool was getting drained, and then the fact that like people got spooked and they start pulling assets out of there. And for those guys that are not aware, the farm, you know, the unique thing about the farm is the fact that you can farm the tokens, the farm token, by just having a stable dollar, right? So you can have USDC, or you can have like a stable coin. So you're not exposed to like the volatility of the token, right? You're just holding dollars and then you're earning farm, which is pretty, nice, because you're not, there's no downside risk in holding the stable coins. So that's why I was attracting a lot of participants. I know, quite a bit of friends that got involved in it as well. I think I was involved in it at one point as well, but I got out of it. And but the interesting stuff is that so Farm came out also saying, hey, listen, we're going to give you a bounty, 100K bounty for somebody who's going to contact this guy and like basically sort this out. And then the guy who did it basically came back and said, hey, I'm going to return 2.5 million back to the, I guess the community or whatnot, right? And another thing that's interesting also is the fact how he was able to off ramp that, like the proceeds of that exploit. So he actually went through BTC, which is weird because we never really seen something like this happen where somebody transfers the assets into like BTC, which is rent BTC in that case, and then hits like the Uniswap to further kind of wash this away. And that's the reason why we've seen the volume on Uniswap actually pick up significantly during that time. And it seems like it's the theme in the market where we do see some kind of a big exploit hack or whatnot. It seems like Uniswap picks up in volume significantly because, I mean, it's DEX, right? So meaning that, if the addresses are public right away in terms of, all right, where's this fund, where the funds are stored, and usually the centralized exchanges can blacklist those things and then prevent from those funds from moving around. But since we have DEXs now that are built out in terms of liquidity, they have sufficient liquidity, that you're able to actually do those trades on those platforms. That's why we see Uniswap actually popping off with the volume there. So
yeah, no, on a couple of these last hacks, when the attackers actually transferred funds to like a centralized exchange or a wallet that can be observable, people have immediately blacklisted those wallets. So this guy threw it in Uniswap immediately, threw it in Tornado Mixer immediately. What did he end up coming out with at the end of it? I know. So basically 10% was returned to the actual team. I think there's a 100K bounty on trying to find this guy. And or girl, who knows? And how much did he actually walk away with? Was it about 20 mil?
Yeah, about like 20 mil. But what's interesting also is that we're seeing more and more of this where you have an exploit or a hack, right? And then the guy gets the funds, and then later on he's like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna give like a little bit back, which is like weird, right? It's like we haven't seen that in the past, right? Now it's like, it seems like it's a normal thing for like, all right, the exploit happened, the hacker or whatever did it, and then they come back and they're like, listen, we're just going to give a little bit back, so we're not totally like, seen in a bad way, which is weird, right?
It's definitely a little bit weird. So I mean, DeFi kind of put a bad taste in our mouth here at the end of summer here. I know that we had that big wave over kind of that August time period, September time period, but we are kind of seeing more rugs a little bit, and we'll see where this goes from here. Guys, I'm trying to work on your little LADZ drop that we're going to do here in a second. It's the first time we've ever dropped this link, so what we're going to do is actually just drop the link in chat. If you guys have a roll wallet, what you're going to be able to do is just click on the link, you click on claim, and we're going to see how this goes. So first time ever, we'll see what happens. Wish it good luck. So yeah, well, I mean, what's the postmortem here then? Is it not trusting Anon founders? I know there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, the postmortem thing, it's just like you have to understand that there's always a counterparty risk. And a lot of people talk about decentralization, decentralized platforms, peer-to-peer and all that stuff, but there's still underlying issue in the smart contracts being exploited, which is part of the counterparty risk, which means that people should not be saying, should not be seeing this thing as a risk-free from the counterparty, right? Unlike, let's say, centralized exchanges and centralized platforms, where there's a counterparty risk because it's centralized and they can be hacked. Well, in a decentralized system, they can be exploited as well, and that's something that the market will have to reevaluate, right? We'll see how the farm is going to come out of this, and what the revaluation of that risk is going to be. Right now, the players that have been working with the farm for a while, they're going to just probably change up their portfolios according to the heightened risk now of what has happened. So that's going to be interesting to see, what's going to happen. Also, another thing I want to mention is that, obviously flash loans were involved, and I believe it was Aave flash loans specifically in this thing. So Stanny came out, and he pretty much said on Twitter, he posted, I believe there's like a blog post about just Aave flash loans in general, and that kind of puts like a little dark cloud over the flash loans, because people think that, hey, flash loans are bad because these exploiters can use them to do this thing. But that's not necessarily true, because flash loans are actually great for the industry overall, because they help for people that are chasing arbitrage. So it creates the market efficiency, right? In arbitrage, it makes it way more efficient. Yeah, there's going to be some instances where, for example, this one where it got exploited and they used the flash loan to do this. But if you weigh out the negatives and the positives the flash loans are delivering, it's a no-brainer. Flash loans are great, and that product is seeing a lot of success. So I think for the Aave side and the flash loan side, I think people should just not focus on the fact that this was used and it's a really bad thing for the industry. It's really just one instance where it happened, and obviously Aave doesn't want none of this to occur, right? But
yeah, I know when Synthetics was like kind of picking up in traction a little bit, they had issues with those Oracle problems, and it was just like, it was for a week it was just constant kind of FUD on just the Synthetics platform in general. It kind of goes away. I probably see the same thing here with Aave and what they're doing with the flash loans. So yeah, I mean, I completely agree. So let's hit the next story, huh?
Yeah. So the next one has got the E 2.0. You guys remember that?
Yeah. So ETH 2.0, yeah, that's gonna be when, but we have it here in front of us. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen here. So we've got ETH 2.0 kind of rolling out its phases, and this is going to be phase 0 that's kind of coming in. We talked about this, I believe, last Layer1Live when we were kind of touching on staking and the different staking pools that are popping up. That's an interesting route, and it's probably fair to say that a lot of ETH holders are going to go that route, but this is kind of just the phase rollout that's going to happen. So it looks like over the next coming week, and we didn't get an official statement, but basically from Ben Edgington basically said, as I understand it, we are good to go. Deposit contract in the next few days. Beacon chain Genesis 6 to 8 weeks later. So as we talked about, as ETH 2.0 kind of rolls out, what they're going to do is allow people to stake ETH on the ERC20 token that we have now on the proof of work chain. They're going to be able to stake their ETH into this contract and earn based on that staking. That being said, there's a ton of different reasons that you probably need to be wary. Obviously, you could have a smart contract risk. The ETH is going to be unlocked when ETH 2.0 comes out. So good luck with that. I mean, if you stake right now, it's going to be locked, and if ETH 2.0 doesn't come out this year because they find some type of bug or they have to kind of revamp, your ETH is going to be locked in there. So that's kind of the situation here. That's going to be, again, you should start seeing ETH staking live within the next week based on these kind of initial points, and then they're going to continue along their beacon chain. Hopefully by the end of the year here. But as we know with ETH 2.0, that is not always the case.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some speculation there coming around where it says that they're, even though they said they're going to be launching it in the coming weeks, they're saying that maybe October could, it is a possibility that October might not be the month for it. But they did emphasize in this next article the fact that, hey, listen, this is going to be 2020 and no day later. Like, we are not going to extend this into 2021. This is a hard date. It's going to be released in 2020. We want to make sure it's smooth and ready to roll. And Quantstamp came out, as you guys know, it's an auditing firm, smart contracts. They came out and says that Ethereum 2.0 ready for launch. They actually completed the audit of ETH 2.0 and some of the things there. They said that the code was written in high quality. They did minor changes. There was no significant vulnerability. And overall, they're saying that, hey, it's looking pretty good so far. So in response, the foundation is saying, hey, listen, again, 2020 is going to be the year when we're going to launch this thing. We're not looking to postpone this, any further. And I'm sure the market overall has been waiting for this, and they know, the sentiment in the market right now, where when we do get these like commitments saying, hey, listen, yeah, it's going to be launched in Q4 or something like that, we've seen that being pushed back multiple times. Looks like now they're very serious in terms of delivering ETH 2.0 before the year end.
Yeah, and Vitalik kind of parroted those statements, right? When he was talking about rolling out this 2.0, basically he said we need to just release and crash test it, which I'm sure not a lot of people appreciate it if you're having this ETH staking. You never want to kind of like test in production on one of the largest chains like ever, obviously. Yeah. So it's not some like smaller protocol that we're talking about here. But Vitalik did come out and say, and you've seen some of the ETH Foundation and the consensus teams come out and say, let's just do this thing. Like, don't wait for the perfect situation. We have to continue to move forward as opposed to kind of, they've been kicking the can down the road for a while here. So we'll see what happens. I'm not personally going to be staking any ETH into these pools. I'm sure there's ample opportunity. We've seen some of these actual pools actually pop up. So outside of the 32 ETH staking limit that you need, if you're an individual, you can go to these staking pools that are popping up. It's not Indigo. I think it's Lido is one that we talked about on last Layer1Live. So you might be able to participate there with a smaller amount of ETH. Maybe they obviously take some of that custody risk. I haven't looked super deep into all these pools, but it's an option.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because we always talk about this thing where it's like, you can work on creating a perfect launch, right? But then in the end, you're really not going to know what's going to happen after you release it to the market. You can have, kind of all these variables played out as much as possible. But then when you launch it, the market takes over, and then you have those variables kind of, flourish, and basically the market takes over and dictates like what's going to happen there. So I think releasing it and then gauging the process and reacting to it quickly is much better than trying to figure out the perfect way and then delaying it, and then once you launch it, then there's something that comes out that you really didn't think of in the first place. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to also see I wouldn't call them Ethereum killers, but basically the other large protocols and the market's reaction to ETH 2.0 working or ETH 2.0 not working, right? Maybe it gets pushed down the road again. That provides maybe a big boon for these other big scalable protocols. If ETH 2.0 does work, I wonder what the market says there towards the bigger Polkadot chains, the EOS chains, things like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we've got quick news, guys. If you just got here, so Kieran, I don't know if you kind of checked, but there is a link, I believe, like 4 or 5 comments above you. That is going to be the way that we distribute LADZ on these episodes now. It's gotten out of our control as far as the number of people that we have to distribute LADZ to. So this is going to be a more scalable way. So just click on that link. You should be able to claim. I made it so 50 people could claim 100 LADZ, and after the 50th person claims it, it's closed. That being said, we're at 39. So if we hit 53, which is our all-time high, we're going to drop another link with another 50 opportunities and the ability to claim those 100 LADZ. So Stacy just got here too. Click on that link above, claim your LADZ for hopping in this week. And then if we hit all-time high, I'll drop another link that will have 100 LADZ as well. So that makes my job so much easier.
Yeah, I can see the smile on your face.
Yeah. So I appreciate you carrying me through this episode, man. It is a lot of stuff to get through, and I was driving today, so I appreciate you carrying me through breaking, and now you're going to carry me through quick news. Let's hit it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, starting off with quick news, you guys might have seen some headlines about Alibaba founder Jack Ma. And, it's always so interesting because knowing the history of like crypto and like how many times, certain individuals try to link Jack Ma to like cryptocurrency. And every time you ask, every time Jack Ma was asked about like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency at conferences, his response was basically, "Hey, listen, I don't know much, like I don't know enough about it for me to formulate an opinion that's smart." And it's interesting because he's the guy who's not afraid to say, "Listen, that's something I don't really know." Like I don't, he's not one of those guys that's just gonna BS and just say things just to make him seem like he knows everything. He's very well aware of that. Like if you don't know something, he will say that, and not make a fool of himself, basically. So mad respect for him. But basically the headline that came out today, what was it today? Let me see. That was yesterday, I guess. He mentioned digital currencies, and specifically, he was talking about how he's excited how digital currencies could create value, and we should think about how to establish new type of financial system through digital currency, and so on. And of course, crypto community, got segmented into different perspectives. Right? What did he mean by digital currency? Right, and a lot of people were asking that question. It's like, what do you mean by digital currency? Because there's the CBDC, right? Digital currency. There's the, Bitcoin or decentralized currencies and so on, right? And it's interesting. You saw a lot of, big guys like Vitalik responded. He asked them specifically, "What do you mean about the cryptocurrency?" Then CZ kind of came in on Twitter and said, the translation from Chinese to like English, and how it's essentially, it could be CBDC, it could be other digital assets as well. But in general, Jack Ma obviously sees what's going on with CBDC sides of things in terms of China, right? They're already testing, they're already ahead, like kind of everybody else. They're already testing their digital currency in certain regions. And, still China, even though, there's a lot of cryptocurrency trading that's illegal, they're still mining a lot of Bitcoin in that region. It's still, big. And in general, if you take a look at Jack Ma is actually doing this huge IPO, which is Ant Group. It's valued at 30 billion. It's ridiculous, which is essentially under that IPO, you have Alipay and all those like other companies, which you have to think about, right? With the PayPal news, and we're going to get to that in discussion, right? If you have, PayPal, that's such a big payment processor entering into this field of cryptocurrencies, right? Like, from Jack Ma's standpoint, he doesn't want to have, Alipay and his companies miss out on that, capturing that market as well. So you have to keep those things in mind as you hear, him kind of being more friendly to this talk. It's most likely just also the response of what's going on in China with the government doing CBDC, as well as the competitors that are doing, in US in terms of PayPal and so on.
Yeah, it's amazing what we're having, happen with CBDCs. I feel like they just kind of came upon us. We've been hearing about Libra. We've been hearing about kind of tokenizing different, digital currencies and things like that. But I feel like it's just happening so quickly. And we saw the airdrop to the Shenzhen community. I think there was like 50,000 people that took part in that or something like that. It looks like Stacy's asking who's speaking Mandarin in here. I don't. Ev might he's got himself a Chinese wife, so he might. But anyways, CBDCs, yeah, man. It'll be interesting to see where the U.S. goes. It'll be interesting to see where everybody goes after China kind of released this test version in Shenzhen. So it's an interesting time. We'll continue to follow CBDCs for you guys. It's kind of spooky. It's kind of mysterious. You don't know what it means for the USD. You don't know what it means for it seems to be positive for cryptocurrencies in general if you can lay rails for USD. But what does that mean for the wild west that is crypto right now, when you have kind of the entire global economy now running with digital currencies.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why they're, very slow in terms of rolling that thing out and probably battle testing in certain regions just to see some data, how it's going to work out. In the end, we saw the Fed kind of, I think last week was talking about it at IMF forum, where they said, hey, listen, digital currencies could provide the ability to onboard certain individuals that don't have banking relationships and, are unbanked, basically. That would help out those regions. But they want it to be a complementary tool towards the fiat and towards the system that we have now, not disruptive by any means. So that's pretty much what's going on there. Crypto Stacy, have I said today how much I love Dimitri Q, Buff, Brendan, Ronan, Ari, and the rest of the lads? My man. Long distance high five to you, my man.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of different comments that we can get to here. Brandon's first of all saying, let's get those invites out to pass all-time highs. Guys, we're at 42 right now, so if we hit 53, we need 11 more people in here, and then we'll drop that second LADZ link for you guys to get the LADZ today. What else do we got in here? Kieran's talking about, you can be right and say to the market, why are you booing me? I'm right, and the market will boo you, and you still lose money.
Yep.
Let's see. We've got Pickle and Brandon talking about liquid apps and scaling. Yeah, definitely want to continue to follow liquid apps as well. If you guys have anything that you want to kind of discuss with us today, drop it in chat. That's what it's there for. I haven't honestly kept up with a lot of what liquid apps is doing. I know they're doing the ETH bridge, but at the same time, they're we'll see what happens with liquid apps. But I'd love an update from the community, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jonathan is having some cooking issues there. He left his popcorn in the oven with the gummy bears. So hopefully everything is a-okay there.
Gummy bears and popcorn, huh?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. That might be something interesting there. He's onto something. All right, yeah, let's move forward with the quick news that turn into long news usually. But next piece of quick news, we got Ripple CEO coming out and calling out basically Brian Armstrong, about the whole political thing and like no discussion of politics in the office and all that stuff. So there's this CNBC piece basically that has Ripple CEO. He says it rejects like what the way the Armstrong's going about, and his whole thing about it is saying that hey, tech companies do have responsibility in helping like with the social issues that are going on, and he brings up certain examples of, let's say, Facebook and YouTube, right, where oftentimes those platforms will either do certain things to sway voters and kind of censor certain information or blow another information up, and without essentially controlling that, that's reflected negatively on overall social unrest and so on, right? So he also brings up the fact that they are actively suing YouTube, which is very interesting because YouTube basically kept on playing these advertisements and live streams that basically typical scams where you send XRP, right? And they send you more XRP back, which resulted into like a significant amount of XRP being like scammed through this practice, which is weird because like, those scams are so old. Like, I can't believe people still fall for them, right? It's like
it's new blood though.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. And they're pursuing some lawsuits with them. We'll see how that's gonna turn out. But that's a whole thing about him is saying that, hey, listen, we could have just not done anything in regards to this, right? We don't have to do a lawsuit in regards to this, right? It doesn't necessarily benefit us financially to do this, but it's a social responsibility that he's trying to play on, right? I'm not sure how he feels about the social responsibility of dumping XRP onto the people. I mean, they're not dumping it, but MoneyGram might be, like they literally their MoneyGram partner that basically receives XRP for working with Ripple. They came out publicly and said, hey, listen, we don't want to hold this thing. We're dumping it as quickly as we get it. So like, it's tough.
The last guy I'm taking any type of like grandstanding from is Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple. Okay,
Yeah.
like the only reason I do agree with him a little bit about Brian Armstrong is because Brian came out and actually tweeted a couple days ago some like political post about I don't know what it was, but it was
Really?
well, yeah, it's just like it was more in the middle. It was kind of
Mm,
the independent taking a shot at both sides, but that is a political stance you're taking. So it's
yeah.
just that's the only part that I do agree with. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not taking any grandstanding from Ripple. Let's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, let's be honest.
yeah.
But overall, I mean, in my personal opinion, I think that I like the way Armstrong, handled this whole situation. It's like, I mean, listen, it's not like he just fired people. He offered them a choice,
Yeah.
and there was severance package there. So it's like, he just went. I think he went about it in the right way. But we'll see how that's going to continue. Anyway, moving right along with these quick news. All right, next piece of news that we got here. That was actually last Thursday. This article came out saying almost $500 million USDT minted in the past 36 hours as Bitcoin rallies. So there's a lot of speculation about the USDT tether printing and then the price of BTC going higher. There's a lot of speculation about how tether uses minting process to pump BTC and all that stuff that has been going on in the market for some time. I blew Q's mind today not today, the other day, by showing him that Decentralized Deception, which is a great video. Yeah, you guys should definitely watch it to get you up to speed on all the tether stuff. They got BitConnect there, all the good stuff out of crypto. Well, not the good stuff, but you get it. So basically, this article talks about how hours before PayPal news were announced, there was a lot of tether printed, and when the announcement came, obviously BTC rallied, and overall, people try to link the minting of tether to the overall pickup in BTC volume and the rally. Which is interesting because if you do more research, there's different takes on this, and if you think about it, from the market perspective, right? So, first of all, the majority of that minted USDT was actually sent to Binance, and as well as other exchanges. But if you think about the actual functionality of Tether, since it's a stablecoin, usually we would see actually quite a bit of interest in printing new USDT when the market tanks, because you have more demand from clients that hold crypto, let's say BTC, and they want to get into Tether, right? In order to get into Tether, right, there's more demand for Tether, then they have to print more Tether and
but
so on.
But it seems to be the opposite.
Right, exactly, which is weird, right? Because it's like, well, if we're in an environment of euphoria that we're entering right now, where things are rallying, the risk appetite is on, and so all that stuff is happening, with the risk environment is actually very good, then why the hell would somebody want to be holding, stable coins right now when really the investors and traders are chasing the yield and crypto assets that are not dollar based, all right, like, or stable coins. So it really opens up interesting stuff in terms of why did they print more USDT during this time, and why we should probably see less demand for Tether when things are going up, right, rather than when things are going down, people are trying to get into Tether and so on.
So could that possibly be people transferring USD into USDT?
It is possible as well. That is also a functionality that could be operating. So but in this case, you would have to look at and see how much USDT gets sold for crypto, right? So if you have USDT that gets sold for crypto, for BTC or whatever, that drops Tether demand, right? Even though there's a spike in Tether demand initially, just to get it in, then when you transfer it back to crypto, you drop in that USDT demand. So it is still weird, to kind of see something like this. But and like I said, almost 70% of that that was minted was sent to Binance. So
yeah, we have some comments here. Bruno's saying you guys are going to talk about the travel rule and the need of disclosure of the recipient of transfers of USD stablecoins. I don't know if that's a
Ooh.
loaded question. Don't know if you're up on the regulation behind stablecoins at this moment.
No, that's very interesting. I would definitely want to see an article about that. But I do know that regulators in different jurisdictions are closely watching the stablecoin markets, and I wouldn't be surprised if they will implement strict regulations around that, because there's a lot of things that stablecoins provide, and especially when we talk about distressed regions, right, that have limited access to US dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Stablecoins provide that, right? Well, how long is it going to last, before they close that loophole?
Gotcha. All right, well, we'll move on here. I'm trying to find that Brian Armstrong tweet, guys, because there was one. I think Crypto Mike's talking about the apolitical message he had, but I thought there was a post by him recently that kind of went against that. Not went against, but kind of skirted the lines of being apolitical. So, anyways, I've got a couple pieces of quick news, and they will be quick. Again, guys, I've been traveling today, so give me a little bit of a break on the content creation today. But we are at 42, so we need 11 more for you guys to hit that all-time high, for us to hit the all-time high, and for everybody to get hit with that 2 times LADZ. So this is what we have. Obviously, the IRS is kind of clarifying, as we covered this on Layer1Live, I believe a week or 2 ago. They came out and added a piece, I'll just call it a piece, to their tax forms that said something about transacting, right? It's always kind of been, do you have crypto, or do you hold crypto? This was actually transactions that happen between wallets, but they came out and actually clarified that you don't have to actually, check this box if you send between, wallets that you own. So that being said, I think it's safe to say that if you're trading in between that at some point on say like a Uniswap or any exchange basically, and it goes from one wallet to the other, the IRS is now going to have that on their forms that says you transacted in crypto, then you need to report this. And that's a big move because that didn't exist before. Obviously, it was just did you trade? I believe it said did you trade crypto in the past year? I don't know or did you buy or sell? No, it was buy or sell. That's the clear distinction here. It was buy or sell crypto in the past year. But now it's saying even transfers are going to be on the schedule.
Yeah, they're going hard. Looks like after that, in terms of clarification and all that stuff, we kind of had a little bit of discussion about taxes in Pittsburgh here from our friend as well, asking questions. But we're obviously not tax experts, so. But I would imagine, the more of the structure is there in terms of, all right, if you do get out of your holdings within a year, then you're going to be taxed based on capital gains that are existing in traditional finance. And if you hold it longer than a year, then you're going to be taxed as a long-term investor in these type of assets. But I think in general, the lending and borrowing markets are going to significantly benefit from that. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Got it. All right. So it also talked about airdrops as well. Obviously, those have been a subject of speculation as well. I think it is classified as a taxable event when you do receive an airdrop. So I'll leave that up to you guys to continue to look after yourselves. But we're bringing you some of the information, right? So the last bit of quick news I had, and Crypto Pickle mentioned this, I actually, on my trip today, and it was about 7 hours, so I kind of loaded up some podcasts. I hit the Joe Rogan and Kanye West podcast, which was a great interview. Kanye West is definitely we knew that he's kind of enigmatic. He's an interesting cat. I think he has a lot of good ideas. He needs a better filter on trying to get those ideas out to the world, but more power to him. I mean, he's created a bunch of cool things. I'm not going to say I would vote for him in 2020, but I'm not against looking into it in 2024. But Kanye West came out and talked about Bitcoin on this Rogan podcast. Basically, he was talking about kind of financial freedom and just like political freedoms in general, in a wide breadth of different areas of life. And he basically shouted out Bitcoiners and said, look, these guys are creating the rails for financial freedom in this new tech world. So definitely a good, interesting part. Let me see if I can't pull up an actual quote here. It says, Jack Dorsey decentralized Twitter 2 months before the pandemic really hit because he was talking to the Bitcoin guys. And these are the guys that really have a perspective on what the true liberation of American humanity will be. So great shout out on Rogan. I know all of his viewers have some type of, I wouldn't say interest, but some understanding of Bitcoin. Usually there's a little bit of a crossover there.
I like the Paul Young comment. I hope Kanye gets the mental help he needs. It's actually, there's some mixed reviews of that podcast, because I saw Barstool's came out and they blasted him basically, saying that, hey, there's nothing of like concrete that he actually like discussed, and a lot of questions he was taking the route of this philosophical broad explanations and all that stuff, which Kanye loves to do, right? He loves to get into this philosophical discussions of freedom and all that stuff, which is, it was interesting to hear that from somebody who's reviewing and saying, hey, there's a lot of the wishy-washy stuff there, but looks like you did enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I enjoy. I didn't expect to get anything out of like a concrete plan. I have no intentions of diving deep on Kanye at all in 2020. Nor did he actually come out and say anything specific about his plans and his kind of platforms that he was running on. I mean, it was the type of thing where Joe would ask him about student debt, and he would go down some crazy ass religious and philosophical rabbit hole, and he'd come back to Joe. He's like, "Did that answer your question?" And Joe would be like, "Not really." But yeah, it's he's an interesting guy, and he's not afraid to push the status quo, which is guys that you need. He's
very vocal.
He's very vocal. He's built great products, and we'll see. I don't necessarily see him as the president of the United States, but we didn't see Trump as the president of the United States when he was on The Apprentice firing people.
Until we woke up one day and then he became president.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of cool thoughts about kind of liberation and things like that. So yeah, if you went in expecting to hear about the platform that he's running on, I don't know what you were thinking, because you don't know Kanye. That was never going to be the case. So there's a lot of good comments coming through that we can get to. Kanye definitely struck a chord with a lot of people. Guys, we have discussion. We have EOS, we have DeFi, social tokens, and NFTs. The discussion piece is going to be interesting. We're going to talk about PayPal. We're going to talk about the LADZ light paper that we dropped and kind of get your guys' feedback there. We have 40 in the chat. We need 53. Do what you got to do. We'll drop the other link for the LADZ. If you're new to LADZ, or if we have any LADZ that just kind of came in, we have 32 people that claimed already in the link all the way above. And then I believe 18 are left. So we got 18 people that can still claim that first 100 LADZ. It's up there, obviously, or right there. You just scroll on up. You can get those LADZ. If we hit 53, I'll drop another link and we'll get another 100. So
boom.
Appreciate you guys following along. We're going to hit PayPal. We're going to move this column over. Any comments that you see before we move on to this discussion piece?
No, nothing in particular. There's a lot of stuff about Kanye and stuff. That's pretty funny. But we're ready to move on forward here with the discussion piece that's huge, right?
Let's roll.
So yeah, PayPal is next. In the discussion piece, basically saying PayPal new service is a 50 billion stimulus check for Bitcoin, basically, that they describe it. But it's the news that came out, and we've seen some like rumors in the past. We've seen BitLord trolling about PayPal in the past. That we actually fell for like live one time. This is hilarious, but finally, PayPal is coming through and saying, hey, listen, we are, going to enable this. You can buy, hold, and sell cryptocurrency, initially Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin directly within PayPal digital wallet. So they're going to have that ability there. And then you can use the cryptocurrencies as a funding source for purchases at its 26 million merchants. Now, you want to talk about adoption. Mm-hmm. That's huge, right? So definitely a huge player entering into the crypto markets. and they're going full steam. It looks like they will be introducing that feature in the beginning of 2021, from what I got. And then also, it's important to point out that they obviously have tons of users, right?
Mm-hmm.
PayPal is like, it's huge, and that will expose users that are not familiar with crypto to have the ability to maybe learn or get into crypto. It's an amazing on ramp that will be in place from the PayPal side. But then also, if you have to think about it, PayPal obviously has competitors, right? We in payment processing, we've seen Square, right, do wonderful, right, when they were able to implement Bitcoin into their system. They've seen significant returns on that end that contributed to their bottom line. So PayPal is not going to be just sitting around and watch how Square is racking in all this money, right? They're going to be active in terms of offering similar type of products, and they don't want to lose that market share, right, to somebody like Square. So I think that's also has to do with the response to the competitors that are implementing those things, and they've seen success. And PayPal is like, okay, I think it is time for us to maybe start scaling into this thing as well. It's crazy because it seems like every week when we do these things, there's like this huge player, right? There's like somebody that comes in that allocates a ridiculous amount of their market cap into Bitcoin, right, to be like a proxy for Bitcoin as a stock. There's big hedge fund managers that are coming through, or big institutional guys that are coming through and starting saying, hey, we're going to scale into this, we're going to do this is how much we're going to allocate as a hedge, and so on. And that seems to continue to happen week after week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if PayPal comes out and actually says we're allocating a certain percentage of our assets as well, because I don't think that accompanied this announcement. It was basically we're rolling out these services. And then another thing to keep in mind here is this allowing people to transfer BTC between each other for likely just, I'm assuming, no fees, right? You're taking a PayPal fee, whatever that is. If I'm transferring you BTC, there's going to be no latency on there. There's going to be no Bitcoin fee on there besides the standard fee that anybody's seeing for USD and the other assets, like when you're sending Venmo or what have you to your friend or something like that. They're going to have all this Bitcoin on their books. That's not going to be physically settled, or it's not going to be settled at that moment, right? Like, it's not going to be settled on the blockchain. They're just going to have these reserves, which will allow people to just transfer Bitcoin instantly between each other.
Yeah, like to avoid like the congestions and stuff, right?
Well, that, and it just kind of takes the Bitcoin narrative and think about what that opens and allows people to start doing with Bitcoin. It allows people like our friends who maybe aren't in Bitcoin, they can start holding Bitcoin and then transfer that between each other, where that really wasn't the case before. You had all these kind of adoption hurdles. You had to have a Ledger wallet. You had to go to Coinbase and do all these things. Now what you'll be able to do is just send BTC between your friends, between people, and it's what's up.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. And then also, how about the merchants, right? They can accept the BTC payments and so on without being without dealing with all that blockchain like transaction congestions and so on. So I think from the consumer and side of things, you're absolutely right. You can transfer those things between each other, but also thinking about the merchant side, right? If the merchants are going to be accepting these payments because it's so easy for them to implement this without any drawbacks that we've seen kind of in the past, where it hampered, kind of undermined the implementation of adoption in the merchant sector, right? A lot of merchants don't really want to deal with BTC because volatility, and they're already operating on thin margins, and it's like, well, if by the time I get this BTC of the payment, the BTC drops like X amount of time, X amount of dollars, it makes no sense for me to be exposed to that. But now if we can isolate that through a merchant platform, like through a platform like PayPal, that opens up a lot of great things for the merchants there. So
yeah, we have a lot of interesting comments coming through. One of them that Bruno kind of laid out there, he said, I think it's too much hype. There are already that service and nothing special happened. It's an interesting, the Square already exists,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think there's other services like Bruno's talking about that already existed before this, but I think it's a big deal. Not only because, and I don't know, is who owns Venmo?
I don't know. That's a good
Because in
question.
the initial article that I read, I don't know if PayPal. That is a good question. See if you can find that, because what that would allow is then
Yeah,
uh,
PayPal.
PayPal own. So this is
Mm-hmm.
here's the move, right? Like
Yep.
PayPal has all of this stuff go down, and then they move it onto Venmo, and then you
Yep.
start to attract different retailers. That's what pretty much, at least our generation is using Venmo for the most part. If you allow people to hold, buy, store, sell Bitcoin on Venmo, you open it up for mass adoption. I said mass adoption. God damn, it came out of my mouth. I was like, no.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because when we were like chilling this weekend, you mentioned something interesting. It was like when we were talking about the PayPal stuff, you're saying what's going to be the next thing, right? Are they going to start having lending and borrowing there?
Oh, yeah, that's what that was the conversation we had.
Yeah.
There's going to be
So
Bitcoin lending and borrowing there. People start to be like, I can earn 6%. I can. No, it probably won't be 6.
yeah.
We know them guys. It'll probably be like 3%. They take the spread on that. But yeah, that's gonna be the case, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see where that's going to go with all these things that kind of PayPal has their hands in, right? It's they're I mean, you can talk about PayPal as much as you want in terms of negative things in terms of it's not your wallet, not your crypto, but I mean the positive side of it outweighs that negative because listen, they're bringing in so many users
Mm-hmm.
to be exposed to the crypto assets, and more demand and more on ramps is something that's going to benefit crypto in general. And that's what we've been talking about for so long, where because of some certain regions that don't have sufficient like on ramps, and they end up buying like crypto, they're forced to buy crypto at above market prices
Mm.
because of these OTC traders that provide um, markups and so on for them, which is not fair, right? They're taking advantage of that market inefficiency. And where if we have something like PayPal that comes through, that kind of helps to make that market more efficient, that's going to overall benefit all of us in general.
Yeah, keep in mind this is a only 3,000 U.S. consumer survey here, but I want to kind of go through some of the findings from this survey that was done by Cornerstone Advisors as far as PayPal and cryptocurrency is concerned. 60% of smartphone owners have the PayPal app. 14% of PayPal users already own some form of cryptocurrency. Another 15% of PayPal users intend to purchase or invest in cryptocurrency in the next 12 months. Those are all good statistics there from a usage standpoint. And I think we made the point here, and I think you were getting at it, that this like I don't know. Have you ever seen that dancing meme about adoption? I know a couple of guys just made fun of me for the mass adoption quote that I just had, but have you seen the people? It's like they're at like a concert, they're at like some festival, and it's like one guy dancing, and then it's two
Oh
guys, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
three,
yeah.
and they always talk about like how they talk about like growth hacking and shit like that. Like once you get a certain amount of people, and that's what this is, man. Like once you get a certain amount of early adopters put 1% into BTC, what that does is allow others to kind of go and pitch their boards on it. And PayPal's the same way. It gives clout to what we're trying to do here, what all of us what you guys, what we're all doing here. I think that's a big, I think it's big.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
great comments.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I'm excited to see how that's gonna keep on rolling out, on what else is going to be in store from PayPal itself once they're going to start rolling these things out. Like for example, borrowing and lending would be huge as well. But I think they're going to be focused on the payment processing at first, and then we'll see how where things are going to go. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen this week with if it seems like the crypto community is like one upping, or like the not crypto community, but the overall kind of the feeling is that each week there's a one upper, right? There's like PayPal, like there's something else,
It
right?
started the micro strategy, and then it moved.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy. And then if you look at like PayPal stock, it's been doing, great. Like this thing is like up for the year significantly from it actually 2x. Yeah. From like March this year until like the end of like where we are now. So it's like it's pretty crazy.
So Bruno's coming back with another comment. We just got to touch on that before we move on to the next discussion piece. Mass adoption of what if you are not allowed to redraw to your private wallet? I need to look into the actual processes that are in place right now. I'm assuming that if they rolled this feature out, that they're not going to, like, if there's a feature that comes out and then it doesn't have withdrawals, that's not going to be in perpetuity. It's probably something that will, be unlocked in the future once they lay all the foundation. What do you make of that comment?
Yeah. So it's it's kind of hard for a company like that to roll this out in a way where the way we used to see crypto, because of the KYC effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to buy BTC and send it to a private wallet outside of PayPal that's not KYC, then there's there's some issues in terms of KYC there. So that's a risk for the company, and they don't want to take that, which is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's a good point. So he's basically saying to an anonymous wallet. So Bruno's saying to an anonymous wallet, you won't be able to send. Okay, makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like a game, right? The game, we talk about game platforms all the time. We have that exposure to NFTs via NFT Live and just our general interest. The games don't want you to take money out of their system. Like, they're going to find ways to keep that in that closed loop system. But I guess, PayPal is doing this more to go along regulation, like you're saying. So AML and things like that. So yeah. Interesting stuff. So let's see. We've got the LADZ light paper here.
Boom.
We've got the LADZ light paper here. I want to pull it up. We launched this, I believe, let's see, October 21st. When was that? I believe it was Friday. Was it?
No, that's Wednesday.
No. It was Wednesday. God, I'm getting all my dates mixed up. All right, we launched this on Wednesday, guys. I want to hear what you guys have to think about the light paper that we launched. This was a long time coming. We had been working on this for about a month, just pretty much trying to figure out not only the deeper meaning of what we were trying to do and what we've been building, who you guys are, what we're trying to do with LADZ, but also kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty with the token and figuring out what we needed the utility to be, what we needed the distribution to be, all of this good stuff. Expect a updated version. I would say early. We said 30 days when we initially dropped it. So expect within the next 30 days, you should probably see a version 2. We've gotten some feedback from the community and also guys that we trust as contacts that have worked through some of these token processes before. So expect a updated version here within the next 30 days. That definitely, I think we can probably say it on here, that it has more to do with the current distribution of LADZ. And that's pretty much all I'll say there. We obviously don't want to, give away too much. We've got that liquidity mining campaign there at the end of the article. I can pull that back into the screen. We're going to be releasing an article this week about liquidity mining. We're going to be taking interest from the community. So we'll probably put out a question on Discord within LADZ City, talking about who would like to learn about liquidity mining, who would like to take part in liquidity mining, and things like this. So expect something like that to come out on Wednesday, as well as we'll probably take a tutorial on other social tokens and how people go about adding liquidity on Uniswap and things like that. So any thoughts?
We are at 50. I don't know what your meter is saying, but we are 50. Getting very close.
I see 50.
51.
I see 50.
We're pumping.
Guys, we need 53 for me to drop another LADZ link so we can drop another 100 to 50 others on here. It's 51. There we go. We're getting close. I think we're going to hit it. So here's
it's funny how we were talking about the LADZ light paper and suddenly those numbers bump. Yep.
So while I put together this next, because it looks like we're going to hit 53, guys, unless we get some type of drop off, while I'm putting together that next link, Why don't you take us through what your thoughts are from the light paper, what you thought the highlights were, and then we'll get to some comments there.
Yeah, it was an interesting. Obviously, we've worked very hard to kind of give you guys the information, be transparent about the way we see things as far as the layer one goes, as far as the LADs go, and how we're looking to reward the community and distribution, and then obviously. Once things start trading, then we need sufficient liquidity there, and in order to incentivize that, we have different proposals that we've outlined. We're actively speaking to some of our potential partners that are going to be providing seed liquidity. And 54, boom! I see that.
We see it, guys. We see it. 54, guys. 54 is our new all-time high. I got to make sure my... What's he getting into back there? Hey, bud.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the day when your dog is gonna just take a poop on your bed while you're streaming.
That was what I was making sure he didn't do, because we just bought this beautiful new rug. I can't have him peeing all over it. All right, guys, 54. I'm dropping this new link. Sorry for interrupting you there, Dima. Continue with the liquidity.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so if you take a look at the light paper, you'll see the liquidity mining campaigns. These are the ideas that we have. And we have a certain amount that's going to be allocated as rewards for the providing liquidity, similar to like what you've seen is done in farming liquidity and so on. And as Q mentioned, this is the first version of this light paper. So this will go through some upgrades and changes as we see kind of the market take this on, and we'll respond with certain maybe tweaks and so on, right, to make sure that the overall deployment of this token is functional and efficient. Because as we mentioned before, right, you can plan as much as possible through all these variables, but until you release it, you won't really know. So we want to make sure that we have room and expectations set up where you guys know that we will be constantly monitoring the situation there, and we'll be responding with an updates that are transparent in terms of token and bounties and all these things that we have outlined. So congrats to everyone. You guys just got extra bonus LADs. So
I did just drop that link, so you guys that are just turning in, that are common LADs and are are returning LADs, basically, we're dropping this link now. This is how we're going to distribute these LADs. So you just click on the link right there, and you're going to be able to get your LADs. We've just outscaled pretty much what we were doing with the manual distribution. So that's how we're going to do it. The only other thing, I think, it looks like we hit 57. So if you guys were smart, you wouldn't go so high, because now we're gonna have to hit 58 next time. Just to let you guys know. But we did drop that link. It should be live. So those of you that claim the first one, there's the second. And then what else are we gonna talk about here? So we also had a talk today. I don't know if you want to drop any hints on the talk that we had today, or what we're planning on doing to add. I might have missed that, but just as far as liquidity goes, what the plan is there?
Yeah. So I don't want to disclose names just yet, but we are in talks with some big players in the industry, partners that will be, hopefully we're starting to wrap that up in terms of them getting in on liquidity, providing liquidity, and so on. So we have some big releases that are coming, and just even beyond that, we have people that we're talking about partnerships in terms of just cross collaboration between different communities, different content, and so on. So all of these things are going to be super exciting for the LADZ community, for the communities that we're going to be working with, and synergize together, and basically just do a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. So I'm going to get to some of these comments here. Going all the way back, it looks like Stacy was shilling us in a couple Telegram groups. So we appreciate you, Stacy. Thank you so much. If you didn't catch it earlier, I think you were the Alpha Lad of the week, so you are getting that extra boost as well. Appreciate you dropping all those different sales that are happening around the crypto space into LADZ Discord. There's a couple questions on how to set up Tri-Roll. You guys are going to have to jump in our Discord to get that answered. Let's see. There was a couple other comments on we had 58 last stream. So we take the different channels and we actually do the all-time highs there. So NFT Live, I believe, all-time high was 58, 59. This one, Layer1Live itself, was at 52. So we're doing it by channel, not by or by series, I guess. If you
I need to start doing that on the desk.
there you go. Yeah, you guys can hit that hard. All right, here we go. We got Aloha Lads. It looks like Orlando's in the chat. Let's see. I hope to God I didn't put 1,000. No, Danny said 1,000 extra lads. I thought I messed up the link.
I had to click on it and check it out.
All right. It looks like that's pretty much it. It looks like we had 58 all-time high. We'll be able to check that after the episode. Stacy won a DGen of the week. Unfortunate.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
You'll have to wait. All right, so guys, back to the light paper. Would love to get comments from you guys before we move on to the rest of the episode here. We've got the utility. We hinted basically at the LADZ Reserve, which is going to be basically a physical place in the metaverse, but also a wallet that will contain NFTs that we accumulate as a community. Eventually, we'd love LADZ to be a part of some type of governance over this reserve, and it would have some obvious tie-in to the LADZ token. So that LADZ reserve should be fun. It's definitely an undertaking. It's a product in and of itself to kind of curate that reserve there. So we'll definitely be bringing you guys updates as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, super exciting stuff. Cool. So next up, if we're ready to move, we got EOS.
All right, we got EOS. Okay, sounds good. Let me move the old ticker over here, and then we'll move on to EOS. We had some interesting things come through this week. It's been after the Google news and after the kind of euphoria there and the price appreciation. We have seen the EOS community be a little critical of Block One. So I'll kind of start there. Let's see if we can't talk about. This comes directly from EOSWriter and CryptoWriter. This is on the Voice platform. Basically, after a couple comments on Twitter, it looks like the CryptoWriter project kind of broke it, did some research essentially on EOSVC. A lot of the community was talking about EOSVC and what were they doing with the funded projects and kind of an update there. So this is kind of a conglomerate of all of those stories. I'll link it in the chat so you guys can maybe take a look. But basically, EOSWriter is coming out and saying, Block Ones, and they kind of highlight the mission of the EOSVC. But CryptoWriter is essentially coming out and saying EOSVC completely missed the mark, right? And they're kind of bringing it to the attention of Block One. Not that it should need to be brought to the attention of Block One. EOSVC was going to take the capital that they had and invest in the EOS ecosystem. That was a huge thing for the community because that was going to allow the ecosystem to be obviously built out. One of the huge things about EOS in general is the fact that they have this capital, right? Not a lot of platforms have the capital that EOS does itself. So essentially, in this article, it goes on to talk about Ember Sword. There was Emanate. And then I believe there was one more project that was mentioned, but there were some projects here that were funded by EOSVC, and they mentioned being built on Ethereum, and that there were not update. There were some of the front pages weren't updated. Some of the the things that you would love to see from an EOS community member when it comes to EOSVC funded projects, they weren't there. So basically, you had. Again, a kind of conglomerate of all this information. You guys can take a look. It looks like Dan came out and commented specifically on someone that was commenting on this situation. So J. Tyler Armstrong says, agree. Sometimes I feel too critical of them, but then I see that Block One is investing in ETH projects through EOSVC, and I wonder what the hell I'm still doing here. Dan came back and said, I was surprised about that. I always advocate against ETH. Companies building on ETH are just following the crowd with limited understanding. So it's an interesting situation. You don't ever want to kind of FUD your own community, and you don't ever want to kind of throw out unnecessary, stories that bash Block One, the team that's building most of EOS. But the philosophical argument there is like you almost to keep block one kind of on the right path and not feel like, we're just brown nosing and you guys can do whatever you want. That was kind of the understanding from the community. I know that Wrecked Kid, Rude Mudcrab came through. A bunch of these different EOS influencers came through, and they all kind of got on this train, and it's all in that article there. So if you guys want to take a look, it wasn't interesting. Pickle's saying apparently that dude got fired for investing in garbage. Yeah, we don't get to see behind the curtain at Block One a lot, and that definitely is I wouldn't say an issue that happens at a lot of investing firms, but you would like to see EOSVC be a little bit better. And then at the same time, I've brought this up on multiple podcasts and multiple Layer1Lives. The worker proposal system is non-existent because Block One didn't want it to. Not saying Block One didn't want it to exist, but the worker proposal system does not exist. So now you have a situation where the community can't fund projects via the worker proposal system, and Block One is using EOSVC, and EOSVC is shitting the bed. So it's just a bad combination, and it was called out over the past week.
Yeah, it's obviously super interesting to see that happen. We've talked about on numerous podcasts in the past where we talked about the EOSVC and the things that they were investing in. It's also the fact that like the EOSVC, when you have that much money that's dropped in there and they're sitting on this war chest, I bet it's like they get pushed to invest in certain things, which sometimes undermines the quality of the projects or the things that they deploy capital to. Mm-hmm. It's I don't think that guy is doing well. Obviously after that, he's probably getting ejected. But it's I think the EOS community is is obviously right, but being vigilant there. They've been through so much already, and they really don't want to take crap like that, and they're very serious about like, hey, listen, get your stuff together and do this right, because we're all kind of tired of this nonsense that's going on.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's the right move to take. I don't think they were pulling any punches, but I think Block One needed to hear it. Not that they even. It's an interesting discussion, man, because Block One does have that war chest. They obviously are taking to it from an investing perspective, and you can make the argument that they're more focused on that 4 billion as they should be than they are on building out the EOS ecosystem, or else maybe you would see EOSVC BS not happen. So maybe they will kind of come back and give a revamped EOSVC, and we can see more invested into the ecosystem. That's the hope.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that would trigger EOS crowd more than information coming out that EOSVC funded some projects to build on ETH. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah. Maybe they can bridge. Who knows?
Yeah.
We had a couple comments come through. Bruno saying, go get some sleep. We reach all-time high so I can have a quiet sleep. Finish the rest of the show tomorrow. All right, so we're going to leave the link dropping till the end of the episode now, Bruno. That's what we're going to do next time. But for those of you interested in liquidity mining, again, we're going to announce on Wednesday. We're going to have an article that talks about liquidity mining for social tokens. And then we will be working on some things with the community, and we'll keep you guys up to date. That'll be that situation.
Yeah, make sure you grab access to Discord, because we're going to be talking a lot about that. Obviously, you can ping all the admins and so on. If you have any questions about the token or LP stuff, so we'll be glad to answer those things. So make sure you get into that Discord.
Yeah, Dimitri is working really hard on locking down liquidity providers from the broader community, and look at it as kind of a gas tank that almost needs to be filled in order for the thing to take off, right? So, and by take off, I mean just even social tokens launching. You need a certain amount of liquidity. So that's in going through different avenues, including the community, including you guys, that we need to have all hands on deck. So that'll be the situation with that. Just keep a lookout.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've kind of talked about like the issue with all these tokens that kind of launch with low liquidity. they really go through a very bad period,
Hmm.
in terms of like all these things that occurred to them. So definitely want to avoid that. So that's why we're taking things one step at a time and make sure that we are prepared for this. So
Yeah, the last thing I'll touch on with this Block One stuff before we move on to Blankos, it looks like Pickle is talking about an interview that I did see, but I didn't bring this up. It looks like Brendan Bloomer had an interview on Myth of Money. So if you guys want to hear directly from the source, maybe that's the one to go to. I'll definitely give that a listen this week. It looks like Thomas Erickson is saying, I'm not a big player, but I'll jump in the LP too. I'll put my 2 Satoshis. It all adds up. Yeah, for sure, man. Richard Hardy, I made it. Lads in the house. So you're going to click on that link up there for your lads. We got the all-time high. We're not doing the manual distribution there, Richard, anymore. So definitely click on those links above. They should still be active, and you can get your lads for participating today. All right, I'm going to touch on Blankos really quick. Blankos obviously had that sale, I believe, on Wednesday, and they didn't sell out because there wasn't a cap on supply. It was more of a cap on time, I believe, and it's still, I believe these are still being sold, which I guess investors are kind of raising a fuss about, but at the same time, I think this project is going to be so amazing that won't matter. It looks like there's going to be a closed beta on Tuesday, or closed beta is launching Tuesday, November 17th. So definitely be logged in. If you bought specific Blankos, then you want to be logged into the email, or you want to be logged in and checking on that website, as well as having your email attached. And they most likely, at least that's the way I've been contacted by Play Mythical before. That's how they're going to be able to contact you about this closed beta. Speaking of EOS and EOSVC. EOSVC, I believe, took an investment in Play Mythical. So maybe that's a dub. You obviously have that arm of Blizzard that's being invested in, and they're finally getting Blankos out. The only other thing, Pickle saying, who the fuck is paying 150 for Blankos? You guys are ballers. I can't afford that. Hey, man, that's the industry we're in, I guess. But yeah, we actually covered that on NFT Live. I won't spend too much time on the game, obviously. The only thing I will say, and it was a good, it was essentially a good move by the team. Kyle Liu from DAP.com tweeted at me earlier today and basically had this sentiment that I'm sure a lot of people have because of the way the sale took place. EOS was not a part of it at all. Like, there wasn't any way to buy Blankos or Block Party stuff with EOS, and I think a lot of the sentiment around the sale in general, and just like where EOS fits in, is kind of lost. I think this is probably the right move for the team to do, to open it up to ETH, to open it up to Bitcoin, to open it up to credit cards, and not just EOS. So I know for a fact that the team has talked about having the assets and eventually having it on EOS mainnet. So regardless of how the sale took place, the assets themselves, as the game goes live and moves down that spectrum of launching, we expect for it to be on EOS mainnet. So I'll just leave that there. I know there was a lot of miscommunication. Scott was in LADZ City with us, actually, in the voice chat rooms, because me and Ronan were talking about it. Scott jumped in and he was like, "What the hell? That you can't buy it with EOS?" And we just had to kind of explain that process.
Yeah, man, that's some great stuff.
All right, looks like we have some comments. Appreciate you filling that time with that comment, Dima.
Absolutely,
really saving me.
Oh, I was just pulling up something from Skew. You guys know from the desk I use skew.com quite often. Just some data on Bitmex once we get into DeFi. But it looks like from what I see here on Skew, it might be actually moving into a paid setup now. We've always been wondering when they're going to start, charging people for the access to data, and looks like that's coming through now. So I think that's, it's kind of good for the people that been trying to request access to Skew, because they've been giving out access to email addresses that are associated with like company, right? But certain people couldn't get access to it. But now I think they might open it up to everybody, but it'll be, for the price. So
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, finishing up on EOS here, We have a special episode of NFT Live this week on Thursday. Keep a lookout. Be there on Thursday. I believe it's a 1 p.m. episode, our standard time. We're doing a certain giveaway with I guess I could just name them, EOSNation. We're doing something with EOSNation that is Halloween and giveaway related. So NFT Live, Thursday, 1 p.m. We're going to do something special with EOSNation. That should be pretty fun. I talked with Steph about it. I cannot wait to launch that on NFT Live on Thursday. So that's it.
Awesome.
That's it from EOS. I'll move the ticker over here, and we've got DeFi, and then I'll fly through social tokens and NFTs.
Awesome. Yeah, man. So first thing I got here for DeFi is remember Zcash. So Zcash is moving into the DeFi space on Ethereum. They're introducing wrapped Zcash, so now you can wrap it and basically utilize it on Ethereum network through the ways that we've seen that BTC is getting used. When you wrap it, and you can use it on Ethereum network. Zcash, for those that aren't aware, it's a privacy coin. It's been around for some time, and looks like they're trying to introduce new things to how you can utilize your holdings. And really, it opens up more things in terms of like those Zcash holders that sit on their positions for some time. Give them the ability to do something with it, right? Rather than just sitting on it, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people are realizing that if they're sitting, let's say, on something like Zcash, they're missing out on all the stuff that's going on in that's really hot, and they want to participate in it, but they also don't want to get out of Zcash, right? Or for those that do want to get out of Zcash, they end up dumping Zcash and then getting into ETH and then taking advantage of the DeFi stuff that's going on there to earn yields and all that stuff. So they, obviously they see that issue there. That's why they have that one-to-one wrap Zcash that's going to be rolling out, that you can, now is going to be able to use that on Ethereum and participate in all these DeFi stuff on Ethereum and whatever stuff you want to participate in on Ethereum using Zcash without actually dumping it for ETH. So it gives it more utility there. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update because I found that very interesting. That we see more and more of these, wrapped assets moving to Ethereum, while, really people are saying, hey, listen, there's a lot of issues with Ethereum. We should be moving away from it and all that stuff. But looks like the Ethereum black hole is sucking everybody in and continues to do that. But the next piece of news that I want to talk about is Bitmex. So obviously, interesting stuff is happening there because we've seen Bitmex in the news with all that, stuff with the regulators and so on, pressuring them. And looks like they're, moving along in terms of business as usual. They're introducing new products. And that probably has to do with the fact of just assets kind of moving off the exchange due to escalation in counterparty risk now. Right. So because of the regulators' pressure on Bitmex, there's uncertainty that's like cloud over Bitmex now that has been there, but was really not enforced. And now that the regulators are taking actions, the participants that utilize Bitmex, they recalculate their exposure to the actual platform, and then they can readjust their portfolios, how much they're going to allocate towards that exchange in terms of the new counterparty risk that's hanging over them. So for them to, kind of recoup some of the market, right, and into kind of steer up more speculators and more volume on the exchange, they're introducing basically new products like BNB, Polkadot, and Wi-Fi, part of a Quanto futures. And it's interesting, they're obviously going to be traded on leverage. And I believe, it looks like Binance has got the most leverage out of the three that I mentioned. So it's going to be 33x that you can trade by BNB. Dot is going to be 25x, and Wi-Fi is going to be 25x as well. That's going to be launching here almost on Halloween, a day before Halloween. And it'll be interesting to see how the market is going to respond. We've seen interesting, crazy stuff like in the past when Bitmex introduced new products and they go through like, not the best rollout, to say the least. Like XRP was ridiculous. I can't believe like how many people got burned on it when XRP got introduced. on Bitmex, and like there was this huge tick down that was like 80% down, like, and a lot of people got mad, and they were requesting refunds and so on. But then Bitmex came out and said, hey, listen, the matching engine was working correctly. This is just order books and the market, the way it functions. So there was no actual systematic issue. So just be careful when we do have these products launch. If you are planning on trading them on MEX, we'll probably maybe wait for a bit. It'll be also interesting to see what kind of effects this will have on the spot market of these products like BNB, DOT, and Wi-Fi, to see what kind of price volatility is going to be around the event MEX launching these products, because obviously you have market makers that are getting in and providing liquidity on MEX that need to hold these type of products, right? So up to that point, as we get closer to that October 30th, be interesting to see what the reaction is in terms of building out the holdings for market makers for those assets, and also post that once it starts trading, if there's going to be any spillover from MEX onto the spot market and effects on it. So
yeah, that's
pretty cool.
The spot prices on BNB and DOT have been pretty nice, and they've had a pretty good run. I also heard Wi-Fi, that Polychain picked up 5 million Wi-Fi. That was just something that was kind of like dropped on me, information. So that's interesting that Polychain is kind of still seeing value in Wi-Fi, which is a good thing, obviously, for that.
Yeah, I think we covered that, I believe, on the last episode of Layer 1, where there was a wallet identified with Polychain. Yeah, and and the fact that they did initiate that position on it. It's interesting because then you have like the FTX guys that are short, those products, and it's like you have two big market participants that are kind of like duking it out. So we'll see what's going to happen. I sent you, I don't know if you have Discord open, I sent you just an image for Bitmex open interest, and you can see just how much they've been kind of struggling to retain that from like September to October. You can see that the overall open interest is kind of dropping off there.
I don't know how to bring this over without bringing in the comments that we already talked about.
Gotcha, no worries.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to bring it over. Oh, there we go, boys.
Boom. So yeah, as you guys can see, the open interest in terms of BTC and the USD has been dropping off for Bitmex, but it's not escalating. It's trying to base, but it's still making lower lows, right? So they've kind of sustained a little bit of a damage there, instead of having rapid moves like we've seen once the news dropped. It looks like they're starting to retain that a little bit more. So we'll see what's going to happen with MEX. I mean, overall, Arthur is an OG. He's always going to be OG in my heart. So mad respect for that guy.
Yeah.
MEX is definitely a huge player in the market. So
speaking of a guy that had a place in your heart and doesn't anymore, or at least I was made aware of this while I was there. We said we were going to talk about this story, and we never got to it. What's up with Moshinsky and McCormick, man?
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. So I'm not sure. I think it was you who actually brought this up to me, and you said, "Hey, check out what's going on there. There's some fresh drama, on Twitter about McCormick, and we all know how much you love McCormick. So, apparently there's McCormick did an interview with Moshinsky, and it was not listed, or it was listed, it was taken down. And Moshinsky now is just going out and just blasting away on Twitter how like censorship, blah, 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 and all this stuff.
His initial comment to Peter was that he took down a podcast that Peter and him did, Moshinsky, because BlockFi paid him to do so. And then he dropped a weird link that didn't actually lead to Peter McCormick. It was very weird because it didn't make any sense why Moshinsky would lie about something that's so easily observable, whether it's false or true.
Yeah, it's so weird, and it's hard to imagine, BlockFi, the respect that they have and how sophisticated they are, doing something silly like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like does it really matter? Like everybody knows Moshinsky is very vocal. He does many interviews, and does it really matter if he had that podcast and oh no, we can't have that podcast? It's a huge thing that's again, it's gonna,
Yeah.
have an impact on our BlockFi business. Like, no, come on, let's be realistic.
It was an interesting story, man, and I need to follow up on it because that was, I believe, yesterday night or sometime in the afternoon. So I don't know where that is now, but they definitely got into a little bit of spiff. Let's see. DJ's in the chat. DJ, I need to let you know that you need to go scroll up and get those LADZ drops. That's the way that we're doing the LADZ drops. You got to find the link, and then you get your 100 LADZ. Actually, 200 LADZ because we did hit all-time highs. So, but welcome to the chat, DJ.
Can you check, see if you can pin like a message to the top somehow in your chat? There's like to the right, there's 3 dots. You can hit that and see if it gives you that ability. But maybe we can find a way to maybe make it a little bit more accessible rather than scrolling through it in the future. Anyway, we're ready to wrap up DeFi with the next headline that I have here. So if you wondered if you could trade ETH at a higher leverage than 50-1 because 50-1 is not enough for you, well, wonder no more. We got players introducing more leverage just because you asked. We have Binance coming through. Binance came through and said, hey, 100x ETH traded. We've increased the leverage that you can use on ETH, and boom, here it is. Go have fun, right?
Doesn't stop there.
Hey, it doesn't stop there. If you thought that 100x was not enough for you, my man, I got you. We got Huobi Global coming out 125x. It's like, let's go. Way more than CZ by 25. It's like you can have more leverage trading on Huobi than Binance, and that's it, right? Which is kind of like silly because I feel like, we've had that type of stuff with CZ where CZ comes out and says, oh, well, we can trade 125x BTC positions on Binance rather than trading 100x on Bitmex. So come to me, right? It seems like the leverage, and this was made public by Arthur Hayes from Bitmex. When they first introduced actually 100x leverage, they didn't have intention for people to use the 100x leverage. It was more of a marketing tool. And it seems like the exchanges that we have now, which is Huobi and Binance, they've picked up on that, success that Bitmex had with introducing 100x leverage, and they're using that as a marketing tool themselves. Because realistically speaking, like nobody is using like 100x and 125x to trade because like you're going to be out of a position within like a small tick, especially on Ethereum that is more volatile than BTC. Like it's ridiculous, right? But nevertheless, there will be traders that will be trading these amounts, and guess who's going to make money, right? It's going to be the CZ, Huobi, Binance, and those traders that are not familiar with the leverage and the side effects of leverage, especially trading volatile assets, it's like ETH. They're definitely going to be impacted, and they're going to get cleared out, and they're going to realize what margin calls are in liquidation. So again, I've talked about this on Desk a lot. Be very conservative with the leverage, especially if you're trading a volatile asset like ETH. Using something that's 100x or even 50x is ridiculous, and you're gonna get liquidated, and it's very risky. So
yeah, Dimitri's desk is a wonderful asset for helping you understand where support levels are. Specifically, I love those support channels. As something gets lower towards that support channel, is that a time to, and this is not investment advice, I'm literally asking this question myself, that's the time to increase leverage, is when it starts to reach the bottom levels of a support channel?
So yeah, there's interesting ways to use leverage to trade and use liquidation as a stop loss. I've seen like traders do utilize that strategy sometimes, but you have to be careful with it. You have to have, there's a difference between cross margin, there's a difference between isolated margin. So if you use an isolated margin, you can have isolated, let's say $100 that you will leverage like 50-1, and then your liquidation will be your stop below that level of support. So that's, you could kind of use it that way, but the problem is that if you get, you're going to end up actually paying fees on liquidation. So it's actually, increases your fees on it. The one thing important to keep in mind is that introduction of more leverage into a volatile asset also has a risk of spilling into the spot market. And something that we've seen in March, right, where we've seen rolling liquidations that occurred on Bitmex, right, that spilled over to the spot market, and that had a systematic issue right across the board when it comes to prices in crypto. So that's another thing that we have to keep in mind, is that I hope that it doesn't create more volatility, because if we have more people that leverage their positions and those liquidations start rolling, let's say if they're sitting on buy positions and leveraging, then this can create a lot of volatility, right? Swings like up and down like that are ridiculous. And that's one thing that, I would hate to see if that does occur.
I'll never forget the one time I margin longed. It was before the EOS voice announcement. It was block 1 June. And I worked with Lee to go margin long on EOS, and that shit just wicked down and stopped me out right before the run. And I haven't touched margin since. I just it's you have to know what the hell you're doing if you are doing it. It's not for the weak of heart, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I had, people ask me on desks in terms of functionalities of the platform. So I will be working on releasing content in terms of like more educational, in terms of how to adjust leverage, how to use stop losses, trailing stops, and so on. So you guys can kind of have an idea of the platform functionalities, right? Because last thing you want to do is start trading, not knowing what the hell is leverage and how to control it, and then just getting liquidated nonstop, even though you would be right, on your position, like Q mentioned.
Yeah, eventually I was, but it's like a target, man. It's like you're a deer and it's deer season, man. They're getting your liquidation price, and they just center in on it and they wick you out and you're gone.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, can you imagine if these platforms had the ability to see where the liquidation prices are saturated?
Yep, exactly.
Just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, we're gonna move on to social here. You guys were talking about Peter McCormick. Danny said, "Lost all respect for Peter after the Richard Hart interview." Crypto Stacy said the same thing. I literally typed out "fuck Peter McCormick" and I had to delete it because I was like, someone's gonna take a screenshot of this shit or something like that. So sorry for all the cussing, guys. We're getting late in the episode here. I'm going to fly through social tokens and hit this last piece of NFT news. We did have Roll, which is the team and company that we work with to actually roll out LADZ. It looks like they're raising another $1 million. This is past a raise that already brings them to, I guess, total funding to 2.7. It looks like they're raising $1 million from Fabric Ventures and a couple others, but it's just good to see them continuing to kind of, people seeing value in Roll, investors seeing value in at an increasing rate. I think that they're, obviously rolling out a lot of these social tokens, and they're working with teams to do so. So shout out to the Roll team there. It looks like we had an Audius launch. We worked with Cooper Turley to get out an interview on the Layer 1 podcast. That was a good interview. If you want to take a look at what Audio is doing, or Audius is doing with their audio token, they're basically a tokenized SoundCloud, and they're looking to give, I guess, value capture to artists. They're looking to give a value capture to fans, all of these things that don't exist on the current traditional platforms that you see today, where a user or I guess a creator could have hundreds of thousands of views on SoundCloud and not really get anything from that platform. That's kind of the value proposition for Audius here. I actually took part in these sales as well as got onto their platform. They have an interesting onboarding process where you need to own the token to obviously get more I guess access to the platform, and not any like base level access. Like, you can go on there for free. You don't even really have to have the token, but you do earn for doing things that you would do on Spotify. Creators earn for doing things that they were doing on Spotify before. So I like, obviously I'm a big fan of Cooper. I'm a big fan of social tokens. So this was a project that made sense to me. And I think, honestly, I mirror Stacy's comment there. Audius, I think, is going to blow up. And it does have, it has the product market fit. People have been complaining, whether you're a creator or a fan, for a long time about how the music industry is and how there's no value capture for the artist. And, we're rolling it out. So that's interesting stuff.
Yeah, and if you guys obviously want to, learn more about it, we did an interview with Coop. So head on over there. Nothing better than hearing straight from him on, everything Audius and the questions that we grilled him on. so yeah, that's super exciting. I'm, looking forward to see how Audius is going to do. So far, they've been having pretty good success there.
Yeah, then again, not investment advice. And then it looks like they did on this launch have Deadmau5 and Rack, the guy who has his the DJ that has his own social token. It looks like they actually had a set for the actual launch, so that's pretty cool. Here's the distribution really quick. It looks like investors and team get distributed tokens in April of 2021. So that's interesting to see, is like the first distribution has gone out to mostly users that have already used the platform. So that's kind of the situation there. We'll continue to follow Audius. They're going to be a big player in social tokens going forward.
Boom. So, and the last one we got here for as far as the social goes, the Akon. So you guys obviously know Akon. He's a huge figure in the music industry. He's one of the guys that's really like found and onboarded a lot of great talent in the music industry. I think I was reading this article. It talks about like Lady Gaga and T-Pain, and this guy has seen a lot of success through his work. So the announcement is basically they're partnering up. Akon's partnering up with Roll, Akon. That's going to be launching, which is essentially focusing on social money, and Akon is big in terms of helping out some regions in Africa in terms of building schools, hospitals, and all that good stuff. So he's trying to expand blockchain education in those regions as well. So he will be actually releasing artist series, if I got this correctly.
Yeah. We've heard about Akon for a little while, right? Like and I think you have to separate this story into two. Akon and in its initial intention, I think Akon was gonna like launch this entire city in West Africa. And it was going to have like a medium of exchange of just this digital currency called Akon. I think I don't know exactly to what extent that's going to be used here. Right. I think it's more bullish for Roll. And basically what's going to happen is Akon is going to be able to, through his connections and through his network, able to roll out more tokens or social tokens, personal tokens, community tokens to people in his network. And I think that's kind of the play for Roll, at least. I don't know how much of a play for Roll it is to work with Akon to have a medium of exchange token for this entire city.
Yeah, absolutely. And Akon is like involved in different philanthropist, stuff like in charities and all that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if Roll got involved in some of the organizations and charities that he's running and helping those out as well. So it's good. It's a big win.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And the last story here, we moved it on to NFTs, guys. And we only have one NFT story. We're covering NFT Live or NFTs on NFT Live on Thursday. And, it's just been a long day, obviously. So we got one huge story, though. This is pretty big. We've been getting some tweets and some announcements from Jiho from Axie. And it looks like this story came through today. And Axie Infinity through it's called the Axis token, AXS token. They're going to be launching on Binance Launchpad. So there's some interesting portions here where they go through, this article and talk about what the utility will be. Obviously, they're looking to make this an in-game currency where people will be, paying for items with AXS. They're looking to have it a treasury of I guess where they'll put a percentage of revenue into the actual treasury, and that will be governed by holders of AXS. So I actually haven't even watched this video, so we're just going to watch it together. It probably will be nothing. But you get a couple shots of Axie Infinity there. I like the new upgraded logo, 7 days.
Ooh.
Yeah, shout out to whoever put that together. And basically, 7 days Binance Launchpad. Obviously, you can see here Axie buyers and marketplace participants have shot through the roof for Axie Infinity itself. You saw a couple stories about people earning like life wages on Axie in different remote locations. They have a bunch of different utility. Here's the treasury that they're looking to work for or work with the governance token AXS. So interesting to see. Obviously, they've been pushing in the NFT space. Well deserved from everybody within Axie Infinity.
Yeah, man. And that pretty much wraps up our episode today. And I can't wait until the next episode we do next week, because we're probably going to hear like George Soros bought like Bitcoin with his stash, like 20% of his portfolio, so you never know where we're going to get. But, hopefully you guys enjoyed all the great discussions and the news that we delivered to you today. And the chat was lit. You lads, are the reason why we do these things, and you're the motivators that push us to go even further and deliver these things to you. Even for somebody like Q, who woke up super early today, drove like 8 hours and then ended up putting together all the news and everything and pushing through this 2-hour episode, and he obviously killed it. So
when's the last? I mean, I feel like we've been doing Layer1Lives consistently for almost a year now. Like, we haven't missed a Monday, so I was not going to allow us to miss this Monday. Appreciate everybody coming in here and chatting it up. It's always a better episode when you guys are chatting. It's always a better episode when we hit all-time highs, baby. So
Crypto Stacy says Soros is gonna buy BSV. Man.
Yeah, Stacy's been killing it, man. We appreciate everybody that's in here. Stacy, you've been killing it in Discord as well. It looks like Loadmaster saying game sucks, but to each their own. Introduce land now. Does the game suck, or does Ethereum suck for games? Let's put those two separate. I don't know. I think that they have a good game there. I just think needing to do those transactions on Ethereum, it just makes it a non-starter. But anyways, they're looking to do some things with their sidechain. I'm going on a ramble now, so we're going to stop the episode, guys. Appreciate everything that you guys have been doing. We have obviously a full slate of content that comes to you this week. Keep a lookout on Wednesday for that liquidity mining campaign. We're going to do some things in Discord with you guys for that, because we need as many people participating as possible.
Yeah, and tomorrow, join me on Dimitri's desk at 5 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to break this down in terms of price action, all things trading. So catch me there, and as we always say, until next time.